and we are back. This is BelGeode, and I am in not FSX. That's right. I am actually in Prepared. Lockheed Martin's Prepared version 4.2. Why am I in Prepared after saying for how many months or even years at this point that I was never going to give Lockheed Martin any money? Well, the plain and simple truth is I can't use FSX anymore. I can't use it without it crashing, running out of memory. Even FSX Steam, the vaunted FSX Steam, which has been stabilized to a great deal, I can't use it to complete my Tom Cattery episodes or my Vietnam era episodes or anything else that I had down the pike. I was planning on doing a World War II series that unfortunately got waylaid because of the fact that I couldn't get FSX to play nice anymore, and especially in VR. So I bit the bullet and I paid down the money to Lockheed Martin, and here I am sitting in Maryadi's FREEWARE MV-22 Osprey tilt rotor. And I'm in Jamaica, no less. I am at Boscobel, otherwise known as Ian Fleming International Airport. ICAO code Mike Kilo Bravo Sierra, MKBS. And I even have AICarriers working in Prepared 4.2. So, I figured since Maryadi did an update to this tilt rotor, it's now version 2 and it's 100% compatible with V4 of P3D, I figured I would use this as my test animal to get me to AICarriers and the various ships that I've got out to sea just to the north of Jamaica. And that'll also be a pretty good introduction for all of you to my series on P3D. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get everything all set up here. The first thing I'm going to tell you, he did work on the interior. You'll recall that was a big complaint that I had. One of the few big complaints that I had with his tilt rotor initially was I felt he kind of skimped a little on the interior. Well, somebody's been doing some homework, because this sucker looks like it is properly 3D modeled. Look at all the jump seats that they've got there. That's pretty freaking cool. So yeah, that's been updated. A lot of the cockpit textures have also been updated. The cockpit itself, I don't remember it looking this weathered and this cool in VR before. I really don't. But then it's been a long time since I've actually used this aircraft. So yeah, this is like a homecoming for me, I guess you would say. Alright, but let's see if I remember how to start this thing. The battery is already on. We needed to have the battery on in order to open the doors, I believe. So we got that on. And let's get our fuel cut on. Yeah, that's still a little sensitive there. What in tarnation? I don't know what's going on there, and I'm not even sure I want to know what's going on there. We're just going to roll with it. It's probably something that I did because when I put the carriers out to sea, I used a different aircraft and I did not turn said aircraft off before hopping into this one. So that may have something to do with it. Alright, APU is on. I'm going to turn our overhead lights on. Now you'll have to forgive me, I really haven't had a chance to look over the manual again, but I completely forgot where all the nav light switches and everything are, and I don't have that bound to my Cytec this time around. So we're going to be going against regulations and not putting on our lights. So I hope you'll forgive me. Alright. One thing we will need, however, is our avionics. That's that middle button. Now you'll notice this white dot floating around. This is basically your mouse cursor. It moves by head tracking, but you can also influence it by using the mouse. It's very, very similar to the blue dot that Fly Inside has. So same principle, basically. It is a little bit squirrely in P3D, however, so just be advised you might see it disappear a lot. That's pretty much normal behavior for it. Alright, we're getting our PFD and MFDs up, and our ICAS and all that good jazz. Okay, and now that I've got all of that up and running, let me get our systems. Is it systems that I need or stat? I think it's stat that I need. Okay, yeah, there's fuel, there's flight control. There's engines. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Even though I've got them on the center panel there, should be fine like this. All right, let's get our engine started. So we'll start with engine number 2. Get our FADEC on as well. I might remind you that either engine can operate both nacelles because of the gearbox that they have in between. So either way, we'll be able to start her up. If we lose one engine in flight, we'll still be able to fly. Alright, well, our props / rotors are spinning. Assuming everything's spooling up. There we go. Okay, FADEC light just went green. This is good. Let's get the left engine started. Turn the FADEC on. Okay, that is on as well. Yep, looks like we've got green in both engines. This is good. I approve. Okay, now our rotors are actually tilted a little bit backwards. Just to refresh your memory here, the 97 refers to the amount of degrees of rotation that the nacelles have. So if I were to give it a little bit of throttle and turn off the brakes, we're going to go backwards. That'll come in handy when we taxi to runway 9. Alright, let's close our back door. There we go. You can see the ramp coming up. And then the top half of the ramp will close down. We'll close the side door as well. Okay, so that is it. We are pretty much set to go. So I'm going to go ahead and take off our parking brakes. Oh, it looks like the parking brakes are already off. Now they're on. Now they're off. Okay, so we'll give it a little bit of power here. We'll back up. Very little power. I'm being very gentle with the throttle here. Okay, right there is good. And we're going to turn it a little bit to the right. Actually, let's put our nozzles forward first. So we'll put them down to about 80 degrees, like right there. And that will allow us to push forward. The improvements that Maryadi has made to this thing are nothing short of incredible. This thing is still the best tilt rotor you can get. I know Vertavia made one a long time ago, back when they were called Alpha Sim, I believe, or maybe it might have been when they first became known as Vertavia. This still blows that out of the water. This is still hands down the best tilt rotor you can get for any of the ESP platforms. And it will now work in all of the ESP platforms. That was the idea behind this V2 update. Alright, I'm thinking right here is good. There's not going to be any traffic because currently I have traffic set to 0 while I figure out whether or not my FSX AI traffic plans will all import properly into P3D. So yeah, that'll be coming soon. Okay, I think everything is looking good, so we're going to pull the nacelles down to about 60 degrees. Alright, let's just confirm. Yep, we've got a proper angle there. Got a proper angle there. You know what it's time for. Brakes down, throttles up. And brakes off. Let's roll out of Boscobel and see if we can find the U.S. Navy. Airspeed's alive. We're already kind of swinging a little to the right here. So we can center that up. And there we go. We are airborne. Woohoo! Love it, baby. Love it. All right, let's tilt the nose up. We've got positive rate, so gear up. And now that we've got some decent forward airspeed, we'll go ahead and bring the nacelles down to the 0 position, slowly but surely, keeping in mind those red lines at the bottom and the top there. Alright, and that is all we needed to do. We are now fully horizontal, so let us head out to sea. Now the trees that you're looking at here, really quick, this is Turbulent Designs Terra Flora. I re-added them because, let's face it, as far as flora goes, vegetation, there is nothing better than Terra Floras currently. So yeah, I had to have it in P3D V4, and I was pleasantly surprised by seeing that it is already V4 capable. So yeah, that was awesome. All I had to do was just update my installer, and that would be it. Okay, directly ahead we have a number of ships. So we are going to the Eisenhower Carrier Group. Now the Eisenhower Carrier Group consists of course, CVN-69, the Eisenhower, which should be in UNREP right now. UNREP stands for Underway Replenishment. So there's going to be a boat just to the right that's ferrying over supplies and so on and so forth. Jet fuel, you know, the whole 9 yards. Everything that a carrier needs to sustain itself while at sea. In addition to the carrier, there's also the marine landing ship, a Tarawa class ship. I believe it is the LHA-2, which should be the Saipan. And on the opposite side, we also have the USS New York. So we're going to try a landing on all three of those platforms. Of course, we're also surrounded here by Aegis cruisers and Aegis destroyers, as well as frigates, but I may or may not land on them depending on how much time we actually have. But before I do anything else, there's one thing that I've always wanted to do in a tilt rotor such as this. Yeah, you know it's coming, folks. Can we make it all the way around? I don't know. This could get fatal. We made it. Woohoo! And we're still at the same altitude too. Amazing. Wow. Surprised I was able to pull that off. Alright, let's head towards the ship, and I think we're probably going to land on the Ike first, and we'll take a look from the outside. Now, one thing that I really have to give Lockheed Martin props for is the way that they made the water. Of course, since this is P3D V4, there is such a thing as bathymetry, which means that now you can go under the water, and they even have a submersible as part of the stock vehicles that you can use. But the thing that I really like about it, if you look on the left-hand side there, you'll see the water reflection actually looks better, and you couple that with the cloud shadows and everything, it really does look good in VR. The coloration of the water too looks to be a little bit different from what we're used to seeing in FSX, so that is definitely a bit of an improvement. Although I might still get wrecks in order to change the textures because, well, it's me. I do that sort of thing. But yeah, having the water reflections and everything like this is akin to having the free FS Water configurator as part of your default setup. So my hat goes off to Lockheed Martin for going the extra mile and making water actually look like water. So there you go. Alright, I'm going to bring our power down here a little bit because we're going to need to be below 200 knots, which we are right now, about 196. You let me know if that little white dot gets annoying. I can always pull it out of the field of view. It really doesn't annoy me. I'm used to having it in the center there, and I like the fact that it fades away on most backgrounds. Okay, so we've got 4 little ships all in a row in the center, and then surrounded by frigates, destroyers, and the carrier. Alright, so our first stop is going to be USS Eisenhower, CVN-69. And I'm thinking that instead of doing like a carrier break, we're just going to come right in, park on the back, because all of the aircraft, all the fighter aircraft and everything should be at the bow of the ship. So we'll park at the stern, we'll let off our goods, and then we'll take off and go to the other ships and deliver our virtual cargo to everywhere else. Alright, let me slow us down some more here because I really need to start getting those nacelles up. There we go. Alright, we're now below 200, so I can start bringing the nacelles up, which will of course have the effect of lowering our speed. We'll also turn around while we're at it here. Man, that is just so beautiful with those cloud shadows and everything. Wow. I love stuff like that, folks. Absolutely do. Okay, I can see the USS New York up ahead. And there's the, is it Patuxent or Patuxent? I don't know exactly how you're supposed to pronounce that. I call it Patuxent. I don't know why, but I've always called it Patuxent even though there's an X in it. But yeah, there's that and the Ike right next to each other, and there should be some hoses going between the two ships. So we should be okay with that. We're still bringing ourselves down. We're at 1,100, well now 1,000 feet. And we're just below 100 knots, so let me drop our gear. We'll confirm that the gear is down. Okay, so we are at 78 degrees. I'm going to pull it back down to about 70 degrees. That way we have a good balance of speed versus holding our altitude. I'll also remind you, this aircraft does have VRS modeled, so you see that little red line on the side there. If our vertical velocity gets into that red line, we are in danger of falling out of the sky. But that's only if we're going like less than about 30 knots forward speed. That could be a problem. Alright, we're pretty much set to go here. So I'll keep slowly but surely bringing us down, and we'll see if we can line ourselves up with the yellow shirt that will be guiding us in. Of course, I can't see him right now, but I know he's on the back of that deck. As we get closer to the ship, I'll bring our nacelles more to the vertical in order to slow us down a little bit more and try to maintain altitude until we're over the stern of the ship, which is also known as the fantail. You can start to see the hoses now, though. That actually looks pretty cool. This is, of course, the ever-popular Nimitz and Ike package that has been freeware for ages and available all around the internet. And it's also a staple for the AICarriers package that everybody likes to use. Or at least I should say those of us who enjoy naval ops. Alright, what's our speed? About 67. We're at 300 feet. Yeah, we're looking good. I love how the meatball's telling us to wave off, essentially, but we're not coming in like a regular naval aircraft. That will be coming soon, however, because now that I've got everything up and running for P3D, you don't even need to ask what the first aircraft was that I tested in this thing. That's right. Dino's F-14 Tomcat. I had to. I needed to know if the money I was spending was going to be worth it for me to do some Tomcattery, and I'm pleased to say it 100% is. The Tomcat just worked. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Robin Tackalander, who made a video of himself flying in Dino's F-14 for his YouTube channel. And needless to say, that was what really inspired me to decide to give P3D a chance. Basically, I was sold because of a Tomcat. And it's probably not the first time that's happened, and definitely will not be the last. So yeah, shout out to Robin on that one. Go subscribe to his channel if you have not already done so. Alright, so we are at 80 degrees, and let's see if we can pull her in there. There it is. Good old Eisenhower. I've only been on a couple of carriers in my life, neither of which are the Eisenhower. But when they used to have fleet weeks in Fort Lauderdale, they'd allow us to basically pay them a visit. So back in the late 80s and 90s, that was like one of the best field trips for me, was going down to Port Everglades in Fort Lauderdale and hopping on board the carrier and spending like hours just talking to the Tomcat pilots and everything. It was awesome. Alright, but our yellow shirt says that we're cleared to land, and let's bring her in. Perfect. Alright, there's good. Let's try not to run his ass over. Okay, you good? I'm good. Alright, let's open the back door. We'll take a moment here, unload our cargo, and then we'll get ready to check out the Tarawa and the New York. We might even try and see if we can land on this little land ship over here, the what do you call it? Supply ship. So there you go. Alrighty, folks, I will be right back. Okay, so we've dropped off our cargo and we've picked up the cargo that we're gonna need to carry over to the other ships. So let's go ahead and close our back door. Make sure the ramp is coming up. Yep, it is. Okay, good deal. We'll get the nacelles to the 90-degree position. We really shouldn't need to pull it any further back than that, because the moment we take off, because the Ike is moving forward, we're going to be going backwards automatically. Okay, so we've got the signal from our yellow shirt, and we're out of here. Man, that is so beautiful, especially in VR. It never gets old, folks. It never gets old. You know what? I think I'm going to try and see if I can land on the Petutian there. I mean, it's right here. It's not like it's really going anywhere. Alright, let's pull the nozzles down a bit here. What do we have it at? 70? We'll do 75. And then we'll slowly but surely bring it up. We'll try not to hit our plane guard helos here. We've got two SH-60s there. Pretty sure they would be not pleased with us if we ran into them. Alright, I'm thinking we're just about matching the speed of the ship right now. So we'll just make sure that we're over the deck before we put her down. Okay, almost there, almost there. This thing is really sensitive when it comes to touching down. We'll put our parking brakes on while I'm at it. There we go. Parking brakes are on. And there we go. We are on the Petutian. Now you can see the New York off to the right there. That's going to be our next stop. So when we take off, we're probably going to want to go back to get around these two helos. And then we'll head over to the New York and land on that deck. And I'll show you what that one looks like. Incidentally, all the ships that you are seeing today are freeware. A lot of them I found on Sim-Outhouse, so I will have the link down below. So again, this is another one of those situations where, aside from the sim itself and some of the other add-ons that I'm using, such as like Terraflora and whatnot, everything that I'm showing you right now is freeware. So all these ships, this Osprey, it's all free. Okay, but I don't think we have any business here, so we're going to go ahead and take off. I'll put this back to 90. And we'll head off to the right and take a look at the USS New York, which, from what I'm hearing, the story goes that it was built using steel that was melted down from the old World Trade Centers, the Twin Towers that unfortunately met their end in 2001. Yeah, that steel went into the making of that boat. So let's check it out. Okay, so New York dead ahead, and we're barely creeping forward here, but we should be able to intercept her and get down. I'm going to try not to rise too high. We'll keep it below about 500 feet here. I'm going to want to pull those nacelles forward a bit, so we'll put it down to about 70 until we get behind the ship. Okay, there we go. So far, so good. Maryadi's tilt rotor has been performing flawlessly. I have zero complaints about this aircraft. Zero complaints. Alright, we're going to start pulling the nacelles up, which will slow us down. And then we'll do the tango and see if we can land here. Now I have noticed that there's a little bit of texture issues. It sometimes takes a while for the textures to load up. That's nothing that you know, not used to. FSX had that same thing, but overall it's not causing any stutters or anything, which is the important thing. The experience in VR is still very good. I'm not running into any issues at all. So as long as it remains that way, P3D may very well be my go-to for any ESP platform related videos. You know, the educational stuff. Not trying to have fun with this now. Alright, but here's the stern of the New York, so we'll push it forward just a bit more. And we'll start bringing her down. I don't know if we want to go all the way up to helipad number 1, but we'll see how close we can make it anyway. And we're swinging a little bit to the right. Okay. Before we start going too crazy here, let me get it set to 90. Whoa, that was a little rough. That was a little rough. I was not expecting that. Holy crap, what happened there? Sheesh, Bell. It's a good thing we've got all this real estate and no extra aircraft around. Otherwise, that could have been a disaster. Alright, we're going to open up the side door this time. It's on the starboard side. So that way our guys can deliver the mail or whatever it is that they're delivering here. And we'll take a look from the outside. Was it my imagination, or were there sparks underneath this boat? I don't know what's going on back there. I'm just going to pretend I didn't see that. Okay, so our last stop for the day is going to be the Tarawa, or I can't even speak anymore. Let's try that again in English. We're actually going to the Saipan, which is a Tarawa class ship. Okay, and I'm thinking once we get there, we'll just call it quits. That will be it for the video. I don't want this to be too long. It's merely meant to be a first look and kind of a proof in concept for myself to make sure that P3D is doing what I need it to do in order for me to continue the FSX related series. Alright, but with that having been said, let's go ahead and lift off. Here we go, we're up. We are up. Let me see if this thing is still sparking all over the place here. Yes, it certainly does look like it's sparking. That's the strangest thing I've ever seen. Huh. Okay, well, let's go gear up. And let's start getting the nacelles forward. This time we'll do like the whole carrier brake and a whole 9 yards there. I'm gonna need to swing us out to the left real quick here. Kinda don't want to damage the New York. Not trying to hit the New York here, that would be bad. Ironic, but bad. Okay, and this should pass us to the front of the other ships. Yep, there's the Petutiant again, there's the Ike. And that's going to be our destination, the Saipan. I'm kind of hoping that Razbam will give some extra love to the Tarawa class ships. From my understanding, they are working on it. I don't know when we're actually going to get the update. It's like everything else, 2 more weeks. I think I see a cruise ship off in the distance. That cruise ship marks where the airport is that we took off from. Now, we will not be going back to that airport, but suffice to say, I should mention that the cruise ships that are included in the scenery that I'm using for Jamaica here, those cruise ships do have helipads on them, which means you can actually land your helo on the bow of the ship, which is pretty cool if you're into that sort of thing. I know I am. Alright, let's lose a little bit of airspeed here. We'll stay around 1,000 feet up. We'll try to get into a proper formation here. I don't want to change the nozzle angle too steeply, otherwise we'll lose all our lift, fall out of the sky, and that'll end this episode real quick, won't it? But I will give a little bit of left rudder action as we make our way around to line up on the Saipan. Okay, we are at 55 degrees. That should be enough for us to catch up with the boat. And we'll keep it around 400 here. We're going to try and land the same way that the Harriers do, or the F-35 Lightning, which, by the way, also works in P3D. And actually, Dino's A model of the F-35 Lightning comes stock with P3D version 4. So that was an impressive little bonus there. Of course, if you want the full package, Dino does have the updated version. It is payware. The freeware version, I can confirm, does still work. You gotta kind of mess with the gauges a little bit to get the 64-bit versions of the gauges for the VTOL and so on. But just like this works with its tilt rotary goodness, Dino stuff works too. Which was honestly the most important factor for me, was making sure that all of Dino's stuff works. Still haven't gotten the Wilco tilt rotor to work properly, but I'm looking around to see if anybody may have gauges that I can swap out for that. Maybe there's like some default gauges that are 64-bit instead of 32-bit that'll help that thing to work. But until that thing works, we probably won't be seeing the civilian tilt rotor for a while. I'm not too worried about that though, because honestly, I love using Maryadi's tilt rotor, so you will find no complaints from me. Alright, so we're going to slide up to the port side, the left side of the boat. Yes, I called it the boat, because that's what the Navy pilots would call it. It is the boat. And I'm going to use some of the skills that I've learned in DCS flying the Harrier to help me see if I can get on board. So we're going to slide to the right here a little. This is where having VR does come in handy, because you can better judge the distances. Alright, we'll push forward just a little bit. I feel like our nose is down way too much. We're going to change that momentarily. We should be about 120 feet above the deck. We're there right about now. So there we go. We'll keep pushing forward. Make sure we are neither rising nor descending. So we'll watch the right side of that PFD there. And just by the elevator is where we're going to want to hover and then slide to the right. Alright, so we'll make sure we can match the speed. I'm actually going to use the elevator as my marker, as my guide. Alright, there should be good. Okay. Slide to the right a bit. There we go. And we'll start bringing her down. We'll try to get her close to the tram line, but since this is a rather strange bird that has a very wide profile, we're going to want to stay behind the island, so right here should be good. And we'll go ahead and bring her down. Whoa, that was a little rough. Ha I had it there up until the last second, but you know what? That's why this deck is reinforced. That's good enough for government work as far as I'm concerned. Alright, so let us taxi to a nice decent spot, and then we can power this bird down and call this episode done. And from now, I would like to thank you as always for watching. This has been BelGeode, and yes, you are going to be seeing me in the future here in P3D. The objective is to finish up the Tonkatery tour as well as continue the Vietnam era episodes, and like I said, I might put on my agenda the World War II version of the Vietnam era episodes, so that way I can show off and educate you on some of the World War II aircraft as well as their usage. Alright, I'm thinking right here is good. This is where I would park if I were in DCS in the Harrier. So it's good enough for me here in the Osprey. Alright, right about there is good. Perfect. Perfect. Right on the K. Love it. Alright, parking brake is on. Setting the sails to 90 degrees. And we'll start killing engines here. Might want to open my door as well too, so we'll do that in a moment. Oh wow, the side door was open the whole time. I hope nobody fell out. Huh. Alright, well, we'll open the back door too. That should be good. Alright, so engine number 1, we'll go ahead and turn you off. Engine number 2, we'll go ahead and turn you off. There we go. Fuel cut off. And we can actually turn our APU off. We should have turned it off before. I don't know why I forgot that, but that's what happens when you don't use a checklist, kids. So make sure you use your checklist. It's just difficult to see any checklist here in P3D because it's not fly inside where you could just simply drag something in here and make it pop up. Alright, but everything else seems good to go, so as soon as the rotors have stopped spinning, we'll go ahead and fold it all up, and I will remind you how to do that. You go into System, and you want this menu item right here, BFWS. So yeah, we're just waiting for the rotors to stop, and let me pull the throttle up. I find that increasing the pitch helps to slow down the rotors. There we go. Oh, it'll stop soon enough. Man, that is such a beautiful sight, especially in VR. I'm sold. You win this round, Lockheed Martin. I am sold. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and get everything done. So we'll lock the rotors here. We'll fold the blades horizontally. Look at that. This is why Maryadi's tilt rotor is the best representation of an MV-22 Osprey out there. This right here is why. That's just awesome. Okay. So now that our wings are, or props I should say, are folded, we'll go ahead and hit full stow. There we go. That'll fold us up. Alright folks, so that'll do it for me. Like I said, this has been BelGeode. I have been in prepared version 4.2. And I've been showing you a first look, my first look at prepared using VR with the Oculus Rift. If you enjoy what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe. The links to everything that I've used is down below, and most of it has been free. I will catch you on the next one. We'll get back together with Ali and finish up Tom Cattery, and you'll see me again in Vietnam. Until then, hope you all have an excellent evening. And ciao!